Okay guys, so we've taken a look at many different mini PCs in the past and they always tend to be roughly the same thing really, but today we've got something a little bit different. This is the Beelink ME Mini and it's got some really cool features on it which you don't kind of get on other mini PCs. So today we're going to take a look at it and see what those differences are. So the Beelink ME Mini is a mini PC, and as you can tell straight away, it does look a little bit different to some of the others that we take a look at. It is a little bit taller, it is a little bit smaller, and everything inside of it is pretty much custom, but there are a few reasons for that, which we'll get into detail on later. As a standard unit, it's actually very well built and it looks fantastic too. We've got some great features on it, including a front I/O that has a USB-C connection, a power connection, a couple of LED lights for power and hard drive activity. We've got a USB 3 connection. On the back, we've also got access to a HDMI connection. We don't have multiple display ports on this one. It is a single one, but again, there is a reason for that later on. But we've got two network connections, another USB 3 connection, and a power connection as well. As far as design goes, they have put it in a white and it looks pretty cool, to be honest, because we've got some nice ventilation on the bottom with a little stand, so it does lift it up off the desk a little bit. We've got some ventilation in either side, and then we've got ventilation on the top here, and the reason for that is because of the way they've constructed the cooling in this unit. I have been using this unit now for over a week and it is completely silent when in use, even when the system is put under full load, so they've done a pretty decent job of that. As far as the unit goes in terms of specification, it is actually pretty lightweight. There's not really a lot that goes into it, but it is using some modern technologies. For the CPU, we've got the Intel Twin Lake N150. That is a 4-core 4-thread processor, so it's nothing fantastic, but it gets the job done. For RAM, we've got 12 gigabytes of DDR5 running at 4800 megahertz. That is a little bit weird, but it is also running in single channel and it's soldered to the board. It is a custom board in this one, so you're not going to be able to upgrade the RAM in it. As standard, it comes with a 64 gigabyte EMMC integrated storage drive, which is not a lot, but again, depending on what you're going to be using this system for, it could be enough. And then for the graphics card, of course, it is built into the CPU and it's using the Intel UHD Graphics 24EU. Now, we have used that graphics in the past and it can actually do some gaming, but they are very limited, particularly with the rest of the setup. The one thing that really makes this drive stand out though is the fact that it was built in collaboration with Crucial, so you also get included a 2 terabyte Crucial NVMe drive, which is where this unit really gets its speciality from. To be able to see what actually makes this unit special, we will need to take it apart, and it's very simple to do. If we just turn the unit over here, we can see that there are 4 screws in the bottom. There are little white caps in here that you need to pull out with something, but once they're removed, they're only little sticky pads. All you need to do is get a small screwdriver and take these screws out of each corner. It's not held together massively in any kind of complex way, but once we've done this, we should be able to slide the top off and you'll see what actually makes this unit quite special, because it's got something that a lot of mini PCs out there don't have and something that a lot of people would really want in them. So once you've removed them screws, all you need to do is lift the top off like that, put the top to the side, and as you can see, it's got this great big unit built all the way around. On the one side, we do have some small connections here for your Wi-Fi and your Bluetooth. That actually gives it a very decent signal as well, because there's a lot of kind of padding there and aerial stuff. We've also got the CMOS battery, which you can unplug if you need to reset the CMOS, even though there is a reset CMOS button right on the bottom here. You do need a pin to be able to do it. And then there's another one inside here. So if you do take the top off, you can simply click that button anyway. We've also got the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card there, but if we actually turn the unit around here, you can see that we've got 3 NVMe slots on the one side, and then we've got 3 NVMe slots on the second side. This means that this unit will support up to 6 NVMe drives for mass storage, especially if you're installing the operating system on the built-in EMMC, which gives you a total of 24 terabytes worth of storage. That is absolutely amazing for a small unit like this, which is why the unit is actually targeted at becoming a home NAS system. If we just flip the unit up like this, you can see there is a large fan in the top, which is why this unit stays so quiet. Basically, the entire unit is just one massive heatsink, and then the air from the top actually gets drawn up through the bottom piece and it shoots it out the top here. So you get a little bit of warm air out the top, but this actually means that it keeps things really, really cool, particularly the NVMe drives. But this is all built into the fact that it goes on top of the CPU and that, which is on a tiny little custom board. So this is why the unit actually stays super quiet and super cool too. Now, being that you can install up to 6 NVMe drives and we've got a reasonably decent kind of setup when it comes to CPU and RAM, it's not the best, but it is something that is more than capable. This unit is targeted toward being a NAS, but there are so many other things that you can actually do with it. Supported operating systems for this include Microsoft Windows, Linux. For VM, you can use Proximox, ESXi. Then as part of the NAS software, so this is natively supported on that 64GB EMMC drive, you can use FNOS, you can use Unraid, you can also use TrueNAS. And then as a media center, if you wanted to use it that way, you can install natively Kodi, Jellyfin, Plex, and Emby. They are all of the operating systems that Beelink actually say are fully supported by this device, although there's probably plenty of others out there that you can actually use. With a unit like this though, you aren't just limited to installing things on that 64GB eMMC drive. You can actually install any operating system you want, and you can have a large capacity drive too, because if you just install a drive here like we've got here into the fourth slot, that will actually detect itself as a bootable drive, and you can install your operating system to there. That's exactly what we did to this unit when we did some testing. We put Windows 11 Pro on it, and of course we wanted to see how well you can game on it. It's good for everything else. It's a great NAS system. It will make a great media center because you can put as many movies and TV programs and everything that you want on it. But unfortunately, when it comes to gaming, there's some good news and there's also some bad news. Due to its limited hardware and configuration, you're not going to get a great experience when mainstream gaming on this unit. We tested a few games that would usually run fine on an Intel N150, but unfortunately we saw quite a degrade in performance across the board. Testing games like GTA 5 Legacy, we had to drop the game all the way down to 720p and a normal setting, and even then we still only got an average of 17 frames per second with a 1% low of 4, but that wasn't the biggest problem at all. The game really struggled to actually render things in, which meant most of the time we were running in the sky, we couldn't see what we were doing. I've never seen this game run this badly before on any other kind of system, so it goes to show that the configuration they've got in this unit is really not designed for that type of gaming. We decided then to go down even further to something like Tomb Raider Anniversary, but still, again, even to get close to a 60 FPS experience, we had to run the game in 720p with a normal preset. Even then, we still only managed to get an average of 53 frames per second on average with a 1% low of 23. The average FPSs on this game were actually okay. You could play the game perfectly fine in that, but the 1% lows created quite a lot of micro-stutting throughout. So again, you're not going to get the greatest experience on that. This then again made us go even older in our games collection. We went all the way back to Half-Life 2, which was created in 2004, which should run beautifully fine on a system like this, but again, we still ran into some issues. This was the only game that we could run in 1080p, even with a high setting, and even though we did get an average of around 79 frames per second, which is more than playable, the 1% lows were still really low at around 31 frames per second. Again, you could still play the game through that, but there are much better options out there that you can use to be able to play Half-Life 2. That game practically plays on some kind of refrigerator, so it's not looking good so far for the unit. But then of course, units like this were not actually designed for mainstream gaming. They are designed to be productivity and home-based units, but we like to see if we can game on it, and unfortunately you can't when you do that. So it got me thinking, what can you actually use a little device like this that is low on power and configuration, but high on storage capacity? And I think I found the perfect option. And for that I give you emulation. This unit is actually perfect for emulating games because you've practically got unlimited storage. You can keep adding NVMe drives in it while the system is running something like Windows 11, which we are doing here, so it could also act as a network storage, being an emulation system, and potentially even one of the things that I'm going to be using it for is installing Steam, installing my games on it. Then I can actually just copy the games across the network, so it makes my installation processes, particularly when testing systems, even simpler, because it will natively support with things like Windows. You can have a Windows-based system like I've got here using something like RetroArch and ESDE, or you can use a Linux-based version which will just give you a complete emulation system, and everything works great with it. We've got enough power in here to be able to play all of our old classics, plenty of storage to store all of our ROMs, and to be honest, things work absolutely brilliantly. I've got an Xbox One controller here. This does run via Bluetooth. The unit has Bluetooth built in as well as a nice strong Wi-Fi, so everything just seems to work perfectly fine, and you can play whatever you want, your favorite Nintendo games, Super Nintendo games, Genesis games, although we don't call it a Genesis here in the UK, it's called something else, but you can play your favourite Sega Saturn games, you can even play your favourite PlayStation games, and this unit will actually keep up very well with all of them. I know a lot of you out there, particularly in our community, do love a bit of emulation, so it's always great to see things like this work. One of my favourite games from the past, Destruction Derby, I remember playing this game originally on the first PlayStation. I actually picked it up for the PlayStation very early when it was released, and even though it's very basic, it would be considered super basic nowadays, it kept me busy for hours and very well entertained as well. We'll just quickly start into the game, and as you can see, it is loading up perfectly fine. It's acting as an original PlayStation, and although the unit may be a little bit costly for just doing emulation, like I say, you can put all of those additional things on here. You can also have it as a network storage drive, which is something that I will do. You can also have it to hold your Steam collection, which is something I will do. It's basically a PC that can be anything really. You can do anything that you want with it. Just as the game starts here, we'll just kind of load in very quickly. There is a fast forward button, of course, on emulations. I just don't know what it is on the controller, but we'll actually get into the game, see what happens. So I think we've paused it now. No, we're loading the game. We are loading the game. We're just going into here. Let's just play whatever is first up. Buckle up and sit tight. We're ready to go. I can't remember the exact keys on this, although we are now spinning out of control because I did have the... there you go. If you press space, it actually speeds up things. So let's see if we can find the button. There we go. So Z is the go button, and we're now driving around the track. It's amazing that these kind of graphics really did keep us entertained back in the day. It's something that I still can play, to be honest. I have no issues playing this kind of stuff. It does look very blocky, and for those of you who remember playing games like this originally when they first came out, of course, it didn't look as bad as this. It always looks worse when you play it later on, but still loads of fun to be able to have with emulations, and particularly with a system like this. Now, the Beelink ME Mini is not the cheapest mini PC out there, but it's also not the most expensive. You can pick these up for just over £200, which is about average for the specifications inside of it, but generally on all of the others that come out at that kind of price with this kind of internals, don't have that capability of being able to put all of those extra NVMe drives on it. I think Beelink have done a fantastic job of doing something a little bit different and making mini PCs useful for other things, taking it away from just your basic desktop activities. Or I know a lot of people use mini PCs to strap on the back of TVs as just basic displays, but I think you can actually do a lot more with them, and Beelink are really starting to show that you actually can. It would be really nice to see Beelink do a similar version to this at some point, but maybe including some higher end components. I think they could go a little bit bigger on the unit altogether. They don't have to do something so small, but this will look very nice on a desk at home, particularly if you are using it as a home NAS or a media center. It's one of those things that is going to be different preferences for different people. Some people will like something a little bit bigger. I would like them to do a version very similar to this, make it look exactly the same, maybe make it a little bit bigger, basically try to keep it at the same height, but maybe make it a little bit wider and add a few more kind of extra components inside of it. See if we can get a higher end Ryzen processor, particularly with the Radeon graphics on them, because then it would actually be able to play some pretty decent PC games as well. It could be the ultimate in kind of media centers, having all of this storage and that capability. So it'd be interesting to see if Beelink continue on this model and do something like that. I would definitely be wanting to check one of those out when it comes out, but I want to know what you guys think. What do you think of the Beelink ME Mini PC? Is it something that you would consider as a home NAS or a Linux system or a media center system or even a retro emulation system? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see us continue to look at new mini PCs. We do have another one that's coming up soon. It's a little bit more powerful than this. Actually, it's a lot more powerful than this, but it doesn't have that storage capability, so it's a little bit different. You give and take on them. That one we will be checking out some proper PC games. You won't want to miss it, and I'm sure as always I'll catch you guys in the next one.